guys, and welcome back to another episode on Fit and Focused for Remote Work and Digital Nomads podcast. My name is Shurina. I'm a certified nutritionist, health, nutrition, brain performance coach, and just someone with a lot of passion for helping you guys to learn how to use your brain better to feel, look, and do your absolute best. I think that's what I wanted to talk about from the beginning. I just didn't have the science, the research, the qualifications to be able to talk about that confidently, about how our brain, it determines what kind of decisions we're going to make in all the other areas of our life, our health, our fitness, our relationships, our business, and that's going to completely change our life. The power of that statement is that you can actually help your brain to make better decisions by doing certain behaviors, by asking yourself the right questions, by eating certain foods, by sleeping at certain times, by exposing yourself to natural light, by exposing yourself to certain people, sounds, books, conversations, by smelling certain things. Believe it or not, you can help your brain to make better decisions. Also breathing certain way, meditating. And then after that, all of the decisions are going to be better. And where your life going to be, nobody knows that. But when you do better long-term decisions for yourself, it always turns out to be pretty damn good. And for sure, better than if you just, I'm just going to do whatever. Right? That's what I want to give you guys. All these tools that will help you to use your brain better to make better decisions and have much better life experience, reaching and achieving, if not all of your goals, then getting pretty damn close to them. Today, guys, it's Monday. It's new week, new beginning. It's the first full week of September. It's autumn already, right? In Northern Hemisphere, in Southern Hemisphere, it's spring. But it's a new season. And guys, did you set your goals? Did you think about your whys? On Monday, I'd like to talk about motivation. And over the course of last week, I did a few interviewers talked a lot, not a lot, but had quite a few conversations with founders and entrepreneurs. And when we get to talk, how do you keep going when things get hard, when you are tired, when you feel like you can't continue anymore and you want to just check out and take things easy? How do you still keep going? Some people might say, well, Angela, sometimes you need to take time off. Well, sometimes you do, but sometimes you need to push through. Because guess what, guys? No one who you admire got it easy. They all had to push through difficult times when they didn't feel like showing up, like doing their best, right? And that is kind of the art and the science. When do you push? When do you rest? And I think for me, how I answer this question is, if I push now, is it important? Is it going to make a difference for my long-term vision? And also, if I push now, do I have the reserve to fall back on? Do you have a plan of when I'm going to rest, when I'm going to restore my resources, right? And based on the answers to these questions, do you have the reserve? Do you have the time to get that rest a little bit later? Because right now it's very important to keep pushing. And then when I get my answers, I take the actions accordingly, right? Sometimes this week for me, it's time to push. It's time to sell. I have quite a few opportunities I need to work on. And it's not time for rest. Even though today I woke up, I'm like, man, I need a vacation. But I'm like, I can go with proper breaks, with proper meditation recovery techniques. I can go on for quite a few weeks till I get certain important essential things done in my business right now. And then I can rest. And I know I have these resources, every day I meditate a couple, 2-3 times per day actually to assess where I am right now, where I need to take a break to keep going while I need to keep going. Right? But don't be fooled. If you want to get to some extraordinary level, there are going to be a lot of moments when you have to show up when you don't want to show up. And that's where you need to rely on your why. And that's what came up in conversations again and again with founders, with entrepreneurs, people who build great businesses from scratch and keep building on. The why question came up again and again. People who achieve great things, who keep pushing, who keep going when they need to, they know their why. They know why they need to wake up and keep going. They took the time to figure out, like, why is this important? What kind of life experience do I want to build? Why is this important to me? Why, right? Sakichi Toyota, the guy who founded Toyota Industries, that was his exercise to improve productivity of people. Why exercise? I think he used it also for something else, but it was around productivity. And productivity is getting things done, right? Why question, understanding your reason. Why do you show up for your day to day? Why do you do what you do? You need to ask yourself questions to support those long-term repeated actions that you're having troubles doing consistently. Like, I went to the gym today and I didn't necessarily feel like going to the gym, but I didn't ask myself whether I should be going or not, because I know that when I go to the gym, now I don't have to push myself super hard all the time, but I know that when I go and when I exercise in the morning, the whole day goes so much better. I mentally feel better. I mentally feel stronger. I mentally feel more optimistic. And it's not the coincidence, because exercise changes our brain chemistry, right? So I went and I exercised and I worked out in the gym because I knew how it's going to make me feel, and I knew how I needed to feel that day, feel on fire, on purpose, motivated, right? And I know that, and that's why I kind of don't ask myself anymore why about every single thing. But if this is the thing that you are struggling with, you need to make a change, and you are struggling with that right now. You are struggling with consistency in some area. You need to figure out your why, and why this specific action is important, why this specific action, how this specific action contributes to your bigger why. You need to figure it out. And everyone who you see who is pushing, who is struggling but getting things done, they all know the answer why they keep doing that. If you ask this person why you're doing that, if you ask them several times, you're gonna get to the deeper reason. Right? They might not always tell you, especially if they're not like feeling comfortable with you, but all of them have this deeper reason why. And you need to figure out yours. If you want to get things done, if you want to get something extraordinary done, if you want to have beyond basics, beyond ordinary life experience, you need to figure out your why. And Monday, it's motivation. And why is the motivation question? It changes your dopamine levels. It changes your chemistry in your brain. Once you understand why, once you understand your internal reward, there is like nothing stopping you in the outside world. And you need to take time. You need to figure this out. So if you never take time and you never figure it out, you're just gonna have ordinary life experience, always taking it easy when you actually need to persevere and push through and keep going. Of course, distributing again those times of you're not a machine, you still need rest, but maybe not totally stopping and going for a week without making any steps towards your dream, towards your goal, right? So why? And again, you wouldn't have to ask it all the time, but you need to have the answer ready when things get difficult, right? On some days I wake up, I have no troubles going to the gym. I'm flying there. But on some days like today, I needed to ask myself, why do you need to go to the gym? And I know the answer, because I need myself on my A game for quite a few days to make major progress. And that's why I go. That was my answer. Later this week, we're also going to talk about nutrition that will help you to boost your dopamine levels, the major molecule of motivation. People who have higher dopamine levels, they have higher motivation and focus to pursue their goals. And the higher your dopamine, again, the easier it's going to be for you to work with your why. Another question that often people ask me when I talk about focus, creativity, and how you can increase the amount of focus you can summon every day to get the important things done at a great level. So sometimes people ask me, Jill, do we have limits of creativity or focus we can use, or we can just go indefinitely if we know how to do that? Now, again, we're not machines. We do have limits. Our brain needs to rest, to recover, to replenish the neurotransmitters or brain molecules that we use for focus or to stay motivated. or to learn and memorize, right? It all takes resources that come out of you. And so we do have limited resources. But when you use science-based tools that are proven, that have been shown to help with things like dopamine levels, right, that are important for motivation and focus, or when you use other behaviors like breathing to modulate your internal state, so when you relax easier and faster when you need to and replenish your resources, and you get back to work with the breathing when you need to, right? When you know all these tools, you're gonna do much better. If you use no tools and you just do whatever, you're just gonna have less capacity to do so. And what's your limit? I don't know your limit. Nobody knows your limit. You don't know your limit. And that limit will increase the more you use the tools and the more you persevere and push through and the more you kind of challenge yourself. But the thing is, if you just hope for luck and never do anything right, and just like I tell people, you need to eat protein for your dopamine levels to be where it needs to be. And people are like, no, I'm just going to fast and go vegan and I don't care. Well, yeah, of course you're going to get some things done, but nowhere near where you could be if you did what science shows us affects your brain chemistry. And yeah, so our resources are always limited, but none of us usually are getting anywhere close to our actual limits. We just kind of waste our energy and our resources all over the place instead of being able to channel them into the most important work that we want to do, that we have to do to build the life experience that we want. So that's about motivation and about our limits. We might not be limitless, but our limits are much, much bigger if we do use science to do our best and to see where our limitations are. And then motivation, if you don't feel like going, you got to figure out what's your why. What's your internal why? Like if nothing else in the world changes, but what's your internal why? Why you keep going after the things that you keep going after? And guys, if you sit down and you spend some time answering these questions, you might find out that a lot of things actually don't make any sense in your life, and that's also okay. Then you just drop them and release a lot of energy and time resources that you were wasting there, and you focus on one thing that's truly important, a couple of things, and you will start making major progress there, right? So when you start asking your why continuously, sometimes you'll have to drop things, and that's a natural thing. But also, you will have all these now resources to get at the things that are truly important to you. That's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode and it helped you to reground, to rebalance yourself, to maybe rethink your priorities for the week. And instead of rushing everywhere and anywhere just to get things done and to appear productive, maybe just stop, ask these questions, drop a bunch of things, and redistribute that energy and time into things that really matter, that move the needle forward on the things that are important to you. So stop, ask yourself why, and look at where you're going to spend time of this week, time and energy, and see whether all this spending is aligned with your why. That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. A lot more interesting stuff coming this week, so stay tuned. And till next time, ask yourself 5 times, why am I doing what I'm about to do?